Welcome to Right on Track, a songwriting podcast. Thanks to Tone for tuning in. I'm Demi Michelle Schwartz, and I'm thrilled you're joining me on my songwriting journey. So kick back and relax, don't fall flat, and remember, stay right on track. Hey everyone, welcome back to Right on Track. I'm so excited to be welcoming Caruso onto the show today. Hi Caruso.
Hi, how are you, Demi?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I can't think of anybody else I'd rather be but me.
Perfect. Well, I'm so excited you're here on the show. You have a very interesting career, both as a solo artist and in a band, and a multi-genre artist as well. And I'm very excited to dive into our chat today. But before we get into all of the specifics, can you share with everyone a little about yourself and how you got started in music?
Okay, well, I'm going to give you the real condensed version. I've been writing songs for a very long time, probably 30 plus years. But the defining moment in my career came in 2015 when I actually died on the table in the emergency room or in the operating room when they were fixing my heart, and they brought me back to life. And um, you know, the doctor told me that when he came in, and of course, I wish he would have never told me because it really messed my head up. And for about a year, I couldn't get out of my head, and I was contemplating even life and death at that point because I was tortured in my mind. I went home and I wrote a song called. I woke up at 5:30 in the morning with this song in my head, and I had never gotten songs in my sleep before. I never had happened to me, so I went and rushed to the corner of my room where I write, and I finished the song in about 10 minutes. The song was called "Worn." It was the first song I ever wrote for the 308 Ghost Train, and 50 million streams, 49 award nominations, 30 global releases, and 9 award wins later. I've never looked back.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for opening up about that as well. I can't imagine, but look at you now. So, congrats with everything you've
I
done.
think a lot of it was, honestly, I think a lot of it was God, but I think a lot of it was me actually not being afraid anymore. Because, once I'll give you a little secret. Once you die, you ain't got nothing else to be scared of. It's just,
Yeah.
so I just think I approached everything with so much relentless pursuit and tenacity, and I was not gonna say ever give up, and I wasn't gonna go down. I was gonna fight, and I think that's been the other half. God gives you a gift, but you got to meet Him halfway, and I think I've been meeting Him halfway for the last few years, pretty good. So this is the results of a garden planted in some really really shaky soil that now is starting to bear fruit that's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, not everyone gets a second chance, and I think you're doing incredible things with that. So, that's great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. So, let's dive into our chat, and you have a great quote to read. So, can you read that?
Yes, I can. I leave the genre labeling to other people. I really do. If I were to think too hard about it, that would stifle you creatively. If you think too hard about who other people want you to be as an artist, it stops you from being who you want to be as an artist. That's Taylor Swift.
So, you told me this one resonated with you. So, what about this makes you connect with it?
Because if you listen to my artistry and you listen to my music, you will find out that it's not pigeonholed into any one category or genre. You'll hear sounds from the '80s, you'll hear sounds from the '70s, you'll hear sounds from the '90s, the 2000s, and you'll hear sounds from the modern day. You'll hear a hodgepodge of just different sounds and music that would require me to live within this quote, because if I was to think too hard about it, I might try to go in one direction too much, and that would stifle me creatively. And if I think too hard about what other people want, then I'm not really being my artist. I'm being somebody else's artist. And so there, I mean, it's an unbelievable quote that really resonates in my life and my artistry.
Yeah, absolutely. I resonate with this as well. And Taylor is a really great example of somebody who is unapologetically herself, and she does multi genre music as well. And I think that, as a songwriter myself too, when I sit down to write a song, I'm thinking of the concept. And I start with some lyrics typically, have a melody idea, a vibe. But the last thing I'm thinking of is what genre is this? I feel like the genre elements start to come out when you're in the studio and you're adding the instruments. That's what brings the genre flavors. But as a songwriter, first, the last thing I'm thinking about is genre, even though my music falls into pop and country, but it expands that entire spectrum, like very contemporary pop or traditional country sounding. And I think it's awesome that we're both kind of in this space because there are people who say stick to one genre. And if you're signed to a major record label, they want you to stick to this genre for marketing reasons and all of that. And I think it definitely restricts creativity and, doesn't allow somebody to be who they truly are supposed to be, because I'm sure you feel this way too when you write a song and you don't know necessarily what genre it's going to be. You're writing to capture a certain emotion or story, and sometimes that falls into one genre better than the other. And so I think too, I don't feel like I'd be able to accurately illustrate certain experiences and emotions in certain genres because I don't think that'd be authentic for me.
True, if I could just expound upon that a minute, you said something. I'm going to go back to a couple things that you said. One about why we do it. We don't think of genre because we have to stay true to the music and true to the song. It's all about the song. It's all starts with the song, and I am probably one of the most fortunate independent artists that when I signed my major independent record deal with Grace Records in Asheville, that they did not want to change me. They wanted me to be just who I was because I presented myself. I think if you present yourself as multi genre, I think and people that really want to sign you like you, they're going to try to keep you that way. They're not going to try to change you because your successes are already mounting. So why would you want to, why would you want to take away something that may actually hurt the artistry? So I was blessed in that sense, but yeah, you've got to stay true to the song or stay true to yourself at the same time. You know this. You're writing the song, you're trying to get the song together. You're not worried about whether it's going to be a pop song or a gospel song or a country song. You're worried about whether it's going to be a song. And that's first and
Yeah.
foremost. That's first and foremost. And if you hear something in your head that turns it a little bit in the pop way or a little bit in the adult contemporary or a little bit in the rock, that's okay. That's okay because that's what it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to work. Yeah, I'm with you. You don't go into a write. You do not go into a write with a genre in mind. Never. I never do.
Mm-mm, absolutely not. Yeah, and I think also doing multiple genres, it just allows you to grow as a songwriter and artist because if you're writing the same style over and over, you're staying in that space and you kind of fall into a pattern and a structure that you keep doing over and over again, or similar production techniques over and over. But I think when I really started to not worry a whole lot about the genre and really start to just write and see what I can do, explore, experiment. I've learned things about myself. I've grown as a songwriter and an artist, both during the writing process and in the studio, knowing what I can do, being free with what I can do. And that just allowed me to evolve as a musician.
Yeah, and you know what's another good analogy? I always like to say this. Okay, so say you write roses. Let's use flowers. Okay, so say you're planting a garden. You plant all roses. Now, it's not saying that that garden can't be beautiful and something to be proud of and something to embrace and love. But what about when you plant a garden that has roses, gardenias, hyacinths, crepe myrtles, you know, in Invicta Vine, and I could go on periwinkle. I could go on for all over again. And then when you have that garden, you stand back and look at it. Isn't it just as beautiful to me? And isn't it even more like satisfying to
Hmm.
see the whole totality of the whole garden of your song life in front of you rather than just the rose part?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great analogy. And I think that really reflects people today and listening practices too, because as a listener of music, I don't just listen to one style of music. And I think that listeners today, because of how accessible music is on Spotify, other streaming platforms, you can access many different genres and styles of music. And I think the average listener has multiple genres. Like it'd be difficult to find like a person who says, "Oh, I exclusively listen to hard rock and that is it." Like a lot of people listen to more than one genre, and so I think as artists, I feel like it should be more widely accepted to do more than one genre because that accurately reflects the world around us.
Yeah, and I feel sorry for the people that say they only listen to this or only listen to
Yeah.
that, because you know what? Wow, you are really missing out on a lot of beauty in life. You're missing around on a lot of audible, it's just unbelievable audible botanical gardens of life.
Yeah.
If you just put yourself on the roses, man, you just I don't know why anybody would want to do that, but I guess there are people like that. Me, I've always wanted to hear everything. I've listened to opera. I've listened to Mozart, Brahms. Uh, I've listened to the 50s, the 40s. I've listened to the Ink Spots. I've listened to the Beatles. I've listened to Chuck Berry. I've listened to the Led Zeppelin. And all they just I could go on and on and on. My musical library is so unbelievably diverse because it's not about the genre. I think it's just about the love for music, the way music makes you feel. That's why I became a songwriter. When I heard songs that invoked emotion inside of me and brought forth this like euphoric feeling, I decided I wanted to write songs that did to other people what these songs were doing to me. I
Mhm.
wanted, yeah, I wanted to be I wanted to be a portrayer of euphoric positivity and messaging and just good feelings, faith, hope, love, grace, you name it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think you bring up a really great point that it's all about the emotion and feeling things and feeling it yourself and translating that to the listener. And those kind of human emotions and experiences shouldn't be boxed in genres because that's just restricting the human emotions and experiences that you're trying to express. And any way, like thinking of it too as like a canvas, like you're painting a sonic canvas with different colors and different genre and different sonic landscapes, they capture different feelings and they portray different emotion. And when you're trying to write a song that captures a certain feeling or an experience, we need to be mindful of what is the best way to capture this. And that's all about, staying true to the song in that moment and not focusing on it needs to be this genre because I'm labeled as this genre artist. And so I completely agree with something you said earlier about how it's all about the song.
Yeah, it's you know well it's some people try to make it complex, but it's really simple. When it comes to this business and when it comes to the craft that we master, we become masters of. It all starts with the song. I mean, without the song, we don't have anything to share. I mean, so that's and I love your analogy about the paintbrush strokes because as a multi-genre artist, we need to be able to paint the Mona Lisa and we need to be able to paint Picasso at the same time. We need
Right.
one of our paintings needs to be like the masters of the Renaissance period. Another one needs to be like Picasso. And then sometimes when we're not feeling too good about things, Dali comes into play. We paint Frida Kahlo and Dali, and some of their really crazy paintings come into play in our minds, and we craft songs like you said based on emotion and moods and feelings. We get these inner feelings that drive us, or we see something that just it pops in our mind and says, oh, that's there's something there. I find that happens to me a lot. I get a lot of songs in my sleep, and that's really cool. But sometimes lately it's evolved into like I do these things like I don't catnap like Edison and those guys or Einstein did, but I kind of find myself daydreaming even if I'm sitting on a couch and Amanda could be here, the TV could be on, and all of a sudden I can't hear anything. I completely hyper focus and an idea might be coming into my head. I've actually written a couple songs like that too. So I'm tapping into that alpha space while I'm awake, and that is really cool.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, I've definitely had like the writing in a dream state kind of thing, like in the middle of the night or just like daydreaming during the day. And, I think that's super cool. So, another thing that I wanted to explore is since we are multi genre artists and we're trying to share our music, there's a whole marketing side and trying to pitch our music to the right outlets, radio, blogs, that kind of thing. And there are certain radio stations and websites and things that are genre specific. And so, since we are multi genre artists, that's kind of a situation we kind of have to work around. So, what are your thoughts on pitching music as a multi genre artist?
I mean, I compartmentalize it. To me, I what I mean is if a song sounds rock, I pitch it rock. If a song sounds pop, I pitch it pop. If a song sounds easy listening, I have a whole complete database that I have built over the years of my team and I that there's radio stations and we have them pretty much separated by genre. So of course I'm not going to send Dark Days to an R&B station, but I sent Dark Days to an alt rock station, and then I figure out, is there another substation, subgenre? And so there's alt rock, there's rock. So you just got to kind of build your. If you're going to be a multi-genre artist, you're going to have to do extra work.
Mm
The extra work is your marketing is not pigeonholed into down one street. You're going to have the roadmap that takes you around the whole city. So the whole city of genres, you're going to have contacts in each area so that you don't get frustrated by no one responding to you, because you know how it is. If you send that song to the wrong genre or the wrong blogger with the music, they're not gonna respond, or they're not gonna give you any what you're looking for. So
Yeah.
you gotta kind of play matchmaker. That's what it is. It's kind of like you're the matchmaker between your songs and the people that want to hear that. And that's indie Bible's a good one to start with. I started with that years ago, but they're a good one to start with to get some lists of different genres of radio stations. And then, of course, in this day and age with Google, you can Google you can Google independent radio stations all over the world. I have radio promoters that promote my music now. So I have, people that are in the radio promotion business that have their own connections and their own genres and formats that take my songs that they think fit their bill, and they send them forward. So if you're going to get into radio promoters, you're going to need a few of them in our business, because not every radio promoter does rock. Some do AAA, and some do country, and some do they do adult contemporary and easy listening. Some do spiritual and Christian. So you can see where being a multi-genre artist could get to be a little inundating by having to have all those people, depending on what song you're putting out at the time.
Yeah, I love everything you said. And I also think that going back to, having to pitch to people who do different genres on their platforms, I think that even though it requires more research and more work on our part, I think it also allows for a greater network as well. Because if you just do one genre, then you're only really known in that genre space. But if you do multi genre, then you have contacts that span many different genres. And it's also really cool because one of my songs that is definitely more pop has been played on country shows before when I never really saw that song as like a crossover song. But because people knew me and it had a little bit of country in it, if you really listen, I guess you can find a little bit of crossover appeal. They still aired it on their shows and the listeners enjoyed it. And so when you are a multi genre artist, you're known in many different spaces and it gives you a wider network.
I actually love being multi-genre because I believe it's built my fan base beyond what any one genre would have. Because it is multi, it attracts people to certain songs. My fan base is more song oriented than it is artist oriented. So I have maybe 10,000 people that love Dreams, and I have 8,000 people that, and they're different people. I see, and how I can tell is because they're in different places, different cities, because I can see that in the Spotify. So it's amazing how I see different songs doing different things in different places, and I'm saying, wow, man, these people like this song. They like the artist, but they like this song. So I think that's what we have to kind of concentrate on a little bit too, is that we have to treat the songs as each one is a commodity for us, and each one is a presentation that that maybe touching one set of people, and then another song touches another set of people, and that builds your base as a total. And that's a good thing. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think too that, if you have fans who like a certain genre and they gravitate toward those songs because they like you as an artist, that might even encourage them to listen to your other music. And maybe if they don't like rock music, but they find a song in your discography that's more rock and they like you as an artist because they like some of your other music, maybe they'll start listening to that genre too. I mean,
Oh,
Taylor.
absolutely.
Yeah, Taylor's a perfect example because I started listening to her more when she did 1989, which was her first big like pop album. Like Red was kind of crossover, but 1989 was the first pop album. And that's where I really started getting into her. And then after that, I went back to her early country albums and I was like, yeah, like I like this music too. And at the time, I wasn't a huge country fan. And so it definitely allows the listeners too to expand their genres and all they listen to.
You're right. I can tell you a personal story that happened to me that actually made that happen. Back in 2019, I started releasing songs, the Born in the Wild project on 308 Ghost Train. And then in 2020, I had written a song called Bleed Over Me. And we released it in January of 2020 at the height of COVID. And somehow, some way, people, because nobody had anything else to do but find music, movies, and books, we had people coming to it, and they thought that "Bleed Over Me" was a metaphor for "lean on me," and they took it to, and 12 million people came to listen to that song on SoundCloud. And then what happened from there, like you said, was they came back around and listened to all the other 5 songs that were out. And before you knew it, it was 50 million streams to me.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So you're right. There's a domino effect, or I don't know, a tornado effect or hurricane if it happens, that just gets everybody. It creates a frenzy, and yeah, they come back around and they try to learn everything else about you. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. It was a good thing for me. I can tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. So now I want to hear more about you as a solo artist and also in the band. So you release music as Caruso, but then you also have 308 Ghost Train, and they have different styles and approaches to them. So as a multi-genre artist, as a solo artist, and in the band, can you share your experiences with this?
Well, I think the experience is kind of evolution. It's evolutionary in a way, because what happens is I started out with in one place, and we can't be held back from our creativity. And if a song comes out and it's something else, then it has to be written and it has to be recorded. And towards the last EP of 308 Ghost Train, I was finding myself writing more adult contemporary, easy listening songs, except for Paper Ships. Paper Ships is a really hard hitting song, but I think I was evolving to me, and I think what happens, it's kind of like when anything happens. It's kind of like when Paul McCartney left the Beatles. It's kind of like when John Bon Jovi took a solo career. You've done all you can do with that. You've written, and you're ready to grow beyond it and see what else is out there. Where's the adventure? Where does the road go? Where's this adventure going to take me on? All these songs are coming out now that are not like 308 Ghost Train. And so I was talking to a guy from Warner and Warner Music Group who distributes me, and he said, "Why don't you just go solo, man?" I said, "What do you mean?" I said, I've spent 3 years branding 308 Ghost Train. I said, how am I going to brand Caruso? He said, "What are you talking about? You got one of the most famous names in music. All you got to do is keep writing good stuff and show up." because the name Caruso has been synonymous with music for over 100 years. And it's like, oh, okay, I never thought of it like that. So it kind of gave me permission to myself to open up and explore this creativity. And I tell you what happened. The Moving On album happened pretty very quickly to me. I mean, I I was writing those songs. I was banging them out a week after week, and then going and recording them. And before I knew it, I had a 9 song album. And it's just, I'm so proud of that, because I really feel like I grew, and I feel like I'm continuing to grow, and it's not done yet. So I think as a writer, and I think you'll agree with me, it's so important for us to not feel stagnant within our craft.
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
yeah, so that's I think that's what happened. So I think it was more of an evolution. I think it was time for me to move on, and that's why the album's called Moving On.
That's awesome. And I completely agree with you about evolution. And I think that's true for anything in life, really. You have to start somewhere. So you're starting in a place maybe where it was comfortable, something that was familiar, your starting point. But your entire career, you don't want to stay at that starting point. You want to grow and evolve into something else. And so I think it's amazing how you were encouraged to take a shot at going solo as well, and look where you are now. So I think evolution is very important no matter what anybody is doing in life. You never want to stay in the same space, you always want to evolve.
Yeah, I'm actually very fortunate as an independent artist. I'm actually going up the mountain in 3 different artistries at the same time, which is not easy to juggle. But I'm going up one side of the mountain with the 308 Ghost Train and that sound. I'm going up the center of the mountain with the other side of the mountain with Caruso and the and its adult contemporary easy listening. I call it yacht rock, like back from the late '70s, early '80s. Like Hall and Oates and stuff like that. Those type of groups, Ambrosia, Hall and Oates, David Gates, and Bread. It's kind of got that real easy, chill feeling, like you're just drifting on. They're really chill songs. You're drifting on, on calm waters. And then I'm going right up the center with the new contemporary Christian uh, deal that I project and deal that I have with Grace Records Nashville. So I feel really blessed to be able to be trying to tackle this whole mountain from 3 different sides and not just one.
I love that. And I love the mountain image as well. It definitely is an uphill climb with music and being an artist. So I love how you described it that way. Can you share a little more about getting into contemporary Christian and how that came to be?
Yeah, listen, that was a crazy thing that happened back in February, late January of this year. I had gotten contacted, believe it or not, on Facebook by someone who asked me if I had a record label. And I said, well, I own my own record label. Yeah, Resting Dove Records. That's my label. And I set up this meeting with this person. They wanted to talk to me, and I thought, okay, let me see where this is going. And the person ghosted me and never showed up. And I thought, oh, okay, this is some kind of scam. So I found out who the record label was from them, because they showed, and I called the presidents of the record label and I said, hey, listen, do you know that there's somebody out there hawking talent in your, under your company? And they said, no, there's nobody that's supposed to be doing that. I don't have anybody out there doing that. And then I talked to Debbie Bennett, who's the CEO of Grace Records. She said, I don't have anybody that's supposed to be doing it. I said, well, I just want to tell you because I feel like you should know, and so she says to me, she says, well, I guess somebody reached out to you. Can I hear some of your songs? And I gave her "You're My Blues" because "You're My Blues" is my big song this year. And I'll tell you, it wasn't 2 hours later I got a text that said, I really want to work with you. Are you interested? Yeah, are you interested in? Would you be interested in doing a project in the contemporary Christian realm? I said, well, I'll tell you this. I got on the phone with her and I said, look, Deb, I'm just going to tell you right now. I'm very spiritual. Me and God are good, but I'm not too much on religion. I said, I'm just not. I'm not too much on the man's thing and the whole thing. And I said, if I do this, You're going to have to let me be who I am. I said, I'm not coming with fire and brimstone. I'm coming with messages that are given to me, and whoever they touch and however they affect people, that's not my business. I'm here to write the songs and to be the messenger. And I thought that was going to get a hang up on the phone, and I thought she was going to hang up on me. And look, she paused for a good 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and she said, "Okay, that's really." She said, "That's the first time I've ever heard something like that from anybody." So I finally got to spend last week with her, and I signed a big management deal with Jimmy Adams, and I'm entering into they're redoing my record deal. It's going to be a multi-year deal now, but we've kind of just become like family. But I asked her, I said, Deb, how long did it take for you to? She said, I prayed on it. I said, okay, how long did God take to answer? She said, about 3 hours. And I knew that I knew that you were the real deal, and I knew I wanted to work with you. So it was kind of like it started as a negative, but it ended up being completely positive. So if that person would not have inadvertently reached out to me on my Facebook trying to hawk me to be signed, I may have never met the label at all. Yeah,
Wow. What a
pretty cool.
story. Oh my gosh, that is incredible. Well, I think a big thing to take away from this whole conversation is that you have been in situations with people who truly accepted you for who you are and allowed you to continue to be the artist that you want to be and staying true to yourself. And I think that's incredible because there's so many people in the industry who try to conform artists in one way or another, and the fact that you found people in the industry who accept you and let you shine is amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel blessed by that because, well, I don't know that it would work out if they tried to force me into a place that I don't want to be anyway. So, I mean, it's almost like I think you have to hope that the people that are seeing you see your genuineness.
Yeah.
See, if we're genuine, it comes across easy. It's like there's no muddy waters. They can see right through us. It's, oh, this guy's like he's his own real deal. He's not somebody trying to be something he's not. He's just being him. And I think like that's what I say even for you. Just be you. Just be you and always be you. And there's people that are going to accept you for who you are, and that's the people we want to work with. Trust me.
Right, absolutely. Well, it was an honor having you on the show. You kind of touched on this at the end, some little advice, but just for anyone listening who may be holding back from being a multi-genre artist, what advice would you give them?
Well, I tell you that you know, don't do it because Demi and Caruso are successful at it. Don't do it because of that. Because you think you could that we're starting a trend or we're in a trend that's gonna. You have to do it because it's who you are. It's not going to be what you do. You just need to make sure this is who you are. And if it's not who you are, just be who you are.
It was an honor having you on the show. Can you please share with everybody where they can find you online and listen to your music?
Sure. I think the easiest way to listen to all the music to me is there's a playlist that I've put up on Spotify called This Is Caruso. Caruso. And if you go to that playlist, the beautiful thing about that is you'll find the new Moving On album, you'll find all the 308 Ghost Train releases, and you'll even find the Christian songs that have been released all in one place. That way you don't have to you search all through Google to get it. It's all in one playlist. You can go to YouTube and you can go to Caruso and the 308 Ghost Train channel. Please subscribe and follow. There's I don't know, we probably have 20, 30 videos out. And you can see them there if you're more of a visual listener. So those are the two places I would send you, YouTube and Spotify and playlist.
Perfect. Well, it was so awesome having you on the show. I really enjoyed our conversation. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed this chat with Caruso. And of course, until next time,
Stay
stay right
right
on
on
track.
track.